So, welcome to another interview with Homemade Muscle. Today, I'll be interviewing my favorite strength coach out there, Dan John, which, if you don't know, definitely go and research. I'll be recommending in the end of this interview some resources and all that. Welcome, Dan. Thank you so much for doing me this honor. How are you today?
Good. Here in the United States, tomorrow is Thanksgiving.
Mm-hmm.
It's my favorite holiday of the year, and by far. And so I think everyone knows it's my favorite holiday. So all my friends, we all get kind of enthusiastic. It's like when you got a little kid is getting all fired up. I'm kind of like the little kid fired up for Thanksgiving tomorrow. So I think everyone I know kind of gets caught up in my craziness. I've got my toasty tea Thanksgiving mug
Nice.
the size of my head. That'll be filled with red wine tomorrow. But hey, here we go. Great, life is good.
So good food, I'm imagining tomorrow, good company, and
Hmm.
is there like a home workout that's gonna take place before or not? No.
Well, okay. Well, my daughters are running a 5K tomorrow, which is embarrassing to me that my daughters are running. But
Hmm.
so, but we have a tradition here called the fifth K. So
Okay.
alcohol here in the United States is measured in fifths. So we start at my house and we walk over to my brother-in-law's house, and the idea is to finish a whole fifth as a group as we walk over there. It sounds like a lot of booze, but really with 10, 15 people, it's not that much. And then we walk back after brunch, and we'll have dinner going, and well, yeah, it'll be great.
So at least burn just a few calories out of the excess that you'll be consuming later.
Yeah, well, we'll see about that. But it's a delightful holiday. It really is nice. It's
Great.
not very it's not very commercialized, and it's pretty simple. It's just a
Hmm.
simple day. It's good, like you said, good times, good friends, good food. Even and heck, even if the food's not that good, no one remembers because it's so nice. It's such a good event.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
I can imagine. Great. So my idea for today is what I did is I'm gonna try a different style, and I just wrote some favorite. I took some of my favorite highlights from your books,
Okay.
and I just wrote them down, and I'm just gonna toss them over to you, like give us an overview of what they mean to you, and maybe
Sure.
we can even brainstorm together and maybe go
Okay.
into get even deeper insights. I don't know.
Okay. All
So
right.
my first one is, and I like this one. Basically, you say, look at your goals and look at your behavior. Does your behavior match your goals? And a favorite, a way I really love reframing this is from John C. Maxwell, who says, a lot of people have good intentions, but not a lot of people live intentionally. So I think it's a little bit
Well,
of the same. Yeah.
Well, I stole that from a book called The 1 Minute Manager. I think I referenced that in the book too.
Yeah.
But it's a hard thing. Jim Wendler came out in his blog yesterday and talked about how his mentor wouldn't even talk to him the first year.
Mm-hmm.
And it sounds crazy, but it's like so many of us have. You go to a party and people get all this free advice about fitness, nutrition, fasting, exercise, and they don't use 1 ounce of it. And so when people tell me what their goals are, I just say, well, let me look at your life. And it's like people tell me all the time they don't have time for this or that. And then I look at what they spend their time on. They're in a fantasy football league. They watch all this television. They do this, they do that, but they don't do anything associated with their goals.
Yeah.
Now, I, I believe I believe in a thing called pirate maps. It's Pat Flynn's idea, where a pirate map. This is for most people. If you go to Coconut Island and walk 10 spaces to the west from the palm tree and dig 4 feet down, you'll find the buried treasure. Okay, that's a pirate map, and that's what most people. And that's how I try to coach most people about have pirate maps. And the first thing is, what's your sleep ritual? Wait, my what? Your sleep ritual. How do you prepare yourself to go to bed every night? Last night, my wife and I, at 7:45, went in the hot tub, and we were asleep by 8 o'clock. We're both of us had some health issues the past year, so we're trying real hard to sleep more to help our bodies, armor up. And people go, "Wait, you were in bed by 8 o'clock?" Yeah, because we have a sleep ritual. Our sleep rituals. We take our vitamins and any medicines we have to take. We have a glass of wine in the hot tub, and our body just unwinds, and we go to bed. When you wake up in the morning, what do? Well, today I wrote a 24-page article because I got up at 6 a.m. and I worked on it until 9 a.m. drinking only coffee. I then showered. I worked out a really hard workout. Went to the local place we always eat breakfast at. Came back, finished the article. Now I'm talking to you. Well, that's how I get things done. I mean, my behavior support. I mean, I came out with 3 books last year. 3. Well, people ask me how I do it. I explain to them that my behaviors match my goals, and they think it's okay.
Yeah.
Now, what's the secret? There is no secret. I just do what you say you're going to do. So, if you want to be a discus thrower, you better be throwing the discus, and go on all down the line to whatever sport or thing you want to do.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty good because it actually brings us to my next highlight here that talks a lot about habits and rituals, which is something basically I've been researching a lot the last year because it's what's saved me and kept me healthy in my head and productive wise. Just because I had to work so much the last year, and what saved my ass was habits and rituals. So
Right.
you say in your book, the audiobook, I forget the title I had. Can you go? Yeah. So
Yeah.
you say we think we're walking hulks of discipline, but we're actually just masses of habit.
Well, you can look at it one of 2 ways. If you don't have habits ingrained, uh, developing new habits, well, good luck to you. So I just don't know. There is a guy, his name is B.J. Fogg, Fogg, from Stanford, and he's very good at this. And his system is called Tiny Habits. And he believes that you have to start with the tiniest habit you can. Well, I think that's great, but what I try to do is rituals. It's a little different. My old boss, Archbishop Niederauer, used to always say, it's not appropriate, but to quiet down a Catholic audience, you just go, in the name of and every single Catholic goes just like this, because it's a ritual built in. You can't help yourself. Tomorrow, our Thanksgiving is a ritual. From the start of the day to the end of the day, it's a ritual. Everybody I know knows where I'm going to be at certain times of the day tomorrow. Thanksgiving Friday is a ritual to me. We put up our Christmas decorations, and then we shop for Christmas online, drinking wine and laughing. When I train, I have certain rituals I do. At about 9:30, my dog barks because my friends are pulling up. I open the garage doors. We back out the cars. We put the TRXs where they belong. We put this there. And before you know it, I'm working out, and I've got a great workout, and I'm done. But nothing I just said had anything to do with self-discipline. Not one thing.
Yeah.
Every single thing was part of a dance, a movement, a ceremony. And that's how I think you get great. I try to convince my athletes to turn athletic performance into rituals. That when I pull on my socks, a certain kind of sock, my performance stockings, then I'm going to throw farther. When I put on this shirt, this is my shirt that makes me throw farther. When I drink my magic solution of mint tea with cinnamon, that's when it just becomes a ritual that just builds upon itself. So I'm not a big believer. Habits, I get people are into habits. It's the big thing right now. But I still think that rituals are a little, at least on the athletic performance side, a little better. Because, everybody at the top end of sport has fairly good habits, usually, and great genetics. But rituals is the thing that we can separate from the rest of the pack with.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like, for me, for example, I get every morning at around at 5 a.m. and what I do after that is I'm gonna have tea, I'm gonna meditate, and I'm gonna write my tasks of the day. So in one way, like that's my morning ritual, but like the most crucial part of that is getting up the moment my alarm clock hits and sitting down and having that cup of tea. Like if I know if I do that successfully, I've triggered this
Yeah.
what I like to call the avalanche effect of my habits and rituals, and that just picks up, and I know I'm gonna get the day. If I like even stall for a little bit on my phone, like maybe open up like to see my Facebook or this and that, like the rest of the day is just messy.
I used to do this thing where back when I was an administrator, at the end of the day, I would put together, I had this very formalized to-do list. It had little charts with long-term goals. It had pictures of my kids and my wife on there. And every day I had a bunch of them printed out, and then I had a phone list. I had a monthly to-do list on it. I had it all, a very formalized thing. And I would start writing down what I need to do tomorrow. And I would do it at about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and leave it at 5. And what I would do is I would look at that list and go, well, I could do this now. And so I used to get all of tomorrow's to-do list done before I left today. And then I found that like good habits snowball. Does that translate, snowball?
Yeah.
Snowball effect, they snowball. And what happens is when you start taking care of, having your cup of tea, the good things start to get, and all of a sudden you've done all these great things, and people ask you, well, how'd you do it? And you go, well, I had a cup of tea. And then all this stuff. But they don't understand it's the cup of tea first. Yeah.
Yeah. It's what gets you started, and it's
Yeah.
like summarizing these two questions because they both tie together. In a way, like I've become like really strict with my rituals and this and that, and some people might view it like kind of quirky or kind of uh, as if you don't have a lot of freedom in your life, but it's the complete opposite because having all these rituals and like having all this structure actually gives you more freedom. It frees cognitive resources so you can do more stuff. It frees like all that decision making, that internal friction that comes up when you're like always micromanaging little stuff, and like because like little decisions don't seem like a lot, but they take a big amount of energy if you add them all up in the end of the day.
It's funny you say that, because remembering that I had this interview with you today probably ate up more of my random access memory than everything else I did today.
Yeah.
You follow? Because everything else was just built in.
Yeah.
I had to come down. This is technically my office,
Mhm.
but I write upstairs in another room. But this is my office, and I had to come down here. My wife's at home today because of Thanksgiving. Everyone's kind of starting to rally in, so I had to come down here to be quiet. And so you're right. I mean, it's something as simple and easy as having this conversation ate up a lot of space in my brain today. I mean,
Yeah.
it didn't stop me, and you can only imagine I can only imagine what it must be like when people are uh, throwing a bunch of balls in the air. I mean, I like to get the ball, take care of the ball, put it down, and forget about it.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on. This is good.
Cool. So the next thing I have here is, let's see. Yeah, this is more oriented to my project. So of course I'm going to bring it up. You say if there's a bit of advice I'd give to everyone, it would be to train at home, at least for a while. And like a point you add there somewhere in the book in Never Let Go is that you say like we all like to pretend that when we're gonna go to the gym, like we're gonna use super clean form, and when like the hot babe is gonna pass through, we're gonna like still do that. But I've realized myself as well that when we're in this like social um, this places, our chimp brain, as I like to call it, our primate brain, like really kicks in, and it's so easy to just get caught up and just pretend a little bit more, put some more weight, and put more of a show. Like I think even if you're the most humble person on earth, like even if you're like a guy like you that's been doing this for years and decades, and you you don't need to prove yourself or anything. Like on some micro level, we still
Yeah.
switch to that.
That's why I also tell people train outdoors as much as you can.
Yeah,
There's nothing wrong with public gyms. I mean, they're fine,
of course.
but it's hard to explore in them. You know, I wouldn't. I'm not going to go into a public gym and if I've never seen a kettlebell and start playing with it. But if I'm at home with the kettlebell, heck, I'll do all kinds of things and experiment and learn. And I guess that to me is the key. You know, it's the experiment, it's the learning process, Anthony. Look at this. This is interesting.
Mm.
You know, that's what I like the most about training at home, training outdoors, training with groups I don't know very well. It's my mind is engaged.
Yeah.
That's my knock on machine training. And it's not, I mean, it's not like I think you're going to go to hell or anything, but the problem is you're not engaged.
Yeah.
You know, I like to have a little bit of mindfulness when I train. And to be honest, sometimes I don't. I mean, sometimes we're just, hey, there are times I'm just knocking out the reps.
Yeah.
And I think that's fine too. I think in one of my books, I talk about how 3 out of 5 workouts you have are going to be you're just going to show up. 1
Punch
out
the
of 5
clock,
is good. Yeah, punch the 1 out of 5 is pretty good. 1 out of 5 is going to suck.
Yeah.
And don't worry about it. And of those 20 great workouts, 4 are going to be pretty amazing, and 4 aren't going to be that amazing, you know, or whatever the numbers would be, I guess. 5 and 5, I guess. And it's okay. You just keep showing up, and but if you can, if you could always come back to the mindfulness, and that's why I like training with people I don't know very well. That's why I like to learn new things, because it just keeps engaging my brain, and that keeps me coming back.
Mm-hmm.
This is my 51st year of lifting weights.
Yeah. Ooh. Wow. Half a century.
Yeah.
More.
Half a century. That's amazing. Didn't think about it that way until you said half a century. Wow.
Impressive.
That's amazing.
Yeah. It's your life. And I mean, like you said, like the part of being more engaged and being more mindful, like in a way, the workout becomes a lot more spiritual. Like, I don't know, some people don't like that word, but for me, like, so many times when I train alone, there isn't a problem like I can't get over if I'm gonna have like a really good workout by myself. Or then there isn't a day that if my confidence is a little bit down, that it won't be elevated with a really good workout by myself. And
Well, Anthony, where are you from?
I'm from Greece. Grew up in Greece.
Well, you can't help yourself because that is where Western civilization was founded, and it's the unity of body, mind, soul, spirit.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the genius of Western civilization, is that understanding that if I take any one of those pieces out in training, in life, in the way I look at things, I think the whole thing crumbles underneath you. So I agree with you. There are things we do that, sometimes, when I see my granddaughter, and of course my grandson too, but sometimes I see my granddaughter because she looks so much like her mom, my daughter, that my soul swims and it leaps. It's like, oh my God, this is amazing. Well, when I work out, I should have that too. I should have those moments of enlightenment, and from your language, enthusiasm, literally the spirit within, where oh my, this is bigger than all of us, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So not going to go too far with it, like you said, but you're right. I agree with you.
And yeah, like you said, some workouts might be shallow, just punching the clock and this and that. But sometimes, like, I feel like I finished a workout and it's been like a whole battle of, just you and yourself and a ton of other things. But
my workout this morning, there was a part of it that was really hard to do. And I told the guys, when you get to 7, the workout will be all of a sudden mentally easier. And it's funny because I don't know if I primed the pump by saying that, but everyone, when they got to 7, you could just feel this tension disappear from the gym.
Mm-hmm.
So I agree. But go ahead. Let's keep going on.
Great. Okay. Moving on. This is from your book, Intervention. And like you basically summarize good nutrition into do what your mother told you when you were a kid, eat like a grown up and
Eat like an adult.
yeah, eat like
Yeah.
an adult. And I've tried like all kinds of diets the last couple of years, and I like a lot intermittent fasting and this and that. But in the end, just eating as an adult, eating clean, as some other people call it,
Yeah.
it's just the best way to like get a lot of food in without gaining a lot of weight. And of course, if you want to lose weight a lot and this and that, maybe you'll do something more extreme. But when you just want to maintain like a really good diet, it's as simple as that in the end of the day.
Well, yeah, and I mean, Art Devaney made a very unpopular statement, but he was right. Lady asked him, how do you get rid of fat? And he said, don't get fat in the first place. And I mean, I'd love to sit down with 20-year-olds, 15-year-olds and say, guys, not only are you doing stupid stuff you have to pay for the rest of your life, but when you eat stupid, you really are putting yourself into a position that you'll be fighting that pound the rest of your adult life. That 10 pounds you put on with beer and pizza ain't going anywhere. It will be with you until you die. So yeah, I stand by it. I certainly think that fasting has its place. I think, in the Greek Orthodox tradition, first the fast, then the feast. I think
Yeah.
it's some of the best advice you can give anybody in life about anything. You know, in the United States here, I opened a thing called an IRA back in 1982, and I remember them saying that I will be able to get the money tax free in January of 2017. And I remember thinking, that's a million years from now.
Mhm.
Well, in 2 months, I get all this money tax free. And I fasted, man. I fasted to save that money. And now in a month, I'm going to feast.
Yeah.
And it's a hard, and so I don't see any difference in life between your diet, your exercise, your financial status, the way you deal with relationships. I see them all in the same kind of bucket. I think there's no difference. I usually joke, you might not get it, but it's called the 3 F's: fitness, finance, and relationships. Because they're all the same. Thank you for getting the joke. But they're all basically the same kind of thing. And
Yeah.
that's the way life is.
Yeah.
If it's interesting because as I slide up in, I don't know, cleaner air, better things in my life, I find that and the same thing Earl Nightingale taught us is that as you rise in anything, the people are actually nicer and friendlier at the top. It really is true.
Mhm.
As I've risen up, one of the first things you realize I'm famous now, as a strength coach, which is a weird statement because if you want to get famous, I don't think strength coaching is the place to go. But the understatement of my life. But as I rise up and meet athletic directors and presidents of universities and professors and stuff, they're all usually very nice.
Yeah.
So it's all the same lessons in every field.
Mhm.
So even though we take it to something simple as diet, the truth is there in
Mhm.
every area of your life. Yeah. The sooner you start acting like an adult, the easier it is going to be on every other part. A real adult, not an old child.
Yeah, yeah. It's funny because, like, I think as you evolve in any kind of field, what you realize is that, like, all these kind of cliche, universal truths that like the things you learn. I think you called this somewhere in one of your books, like the best lessons you learn are taught on the first day of school, something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like all those like really simple, simplistic truths and quotes, like in the end, it's all about that. They
Well,
all make sense.
every good coach I've ever had told me something within the first 5 minutes of meeting them
Yeah.
that was the most true.
Hmm.
The first 2 or 3 minutes, the most true thing was there. Coach Mon with little and often over the long haul. make yourself a slave to good habits.
Hmm.
Dick Knopmeyer with his answer to everything, minutes, seconds, in fact. Yeah.
But yeah, it never digests when you're at that point of your
No.
life. No, no. It's, yeah, simple but not easy, as you say.
Yeah.
And like I like what you said. Like the more higher you get, like the more you meet people that are pretty great and all that. I think that's. I mean, we think that people at high positions are made from this like different cloth, but most of the times you see that they're just people that made themselves slaves to habits, that had
Yeah.
passion for what they're doing right
Yeah.
now. And so, they have that hard work ethic. They've been through struggles, and, it's what's made them like nice people that you really enjoy hanging out with.
Well, if I
And
could give it follow up on that, people, I mean, I think this is my hobby. This is what I like to do. This is my hobby. So if I'm alone in the house and I don't do carpentry or pottery or Thai fishing or anything, this is so what I like to do is my career. And man, when you can get yourself in there, your life's pretty good.
Mhm.
You know, yeah, it is pretty good right now. I got to tell you that. Yeah, it's not bad at all. Yeah, but continue. That's good. This is good.
Great. Um, okay, let's see. Mm, if it's important, do it every
Do
day.
it every day, and if it's not, don't do it at all. I think the fundamental human movements are important. We do them every workout. Now, people misunderstand that and think we squat heavy every day. We don't, but we do the movement of squatting every day. We do push pull hinge squat loaded carry every day, every day. I think you should fast a little bit every day. Now, if it's, I think, I think if you eat dinner at 6 and you wake up at 6, that's a 12-hour fast. There you go. But I think this idea you're constantly shoveling food in your mouth is a problem.
Yeah.
I think you should sleep really well every day. You should tell people you love them every day. And so that's what I stand by. And if something you tell me is kind of a good idea, that's very good. We should add that. We never add it.
Hmm.
Unless it's part, unless we do it every day, we never get to it.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny. I look at some of the equipment. We go through a lot of equipment in our gym, and I spent $1,100 on this one thing, and I'm like, why did I waste my money on that thing? No one uses it.
Hmm.
No one uses it. I know it's a good thing, but no one uses it. And I look at it every day. It's my $1,100 mistake, and I say to myself, if it's important, you would do it every day.
Yeah.
If it was important, and I just kind of slapped my own self because I knew that. So yeah, that's if you want to be a discus thrower, you better throw a disc every day. Shot put, shot put. Be a great soccer player, you better play soccer every day. It's so logical. Tell people you love them every day. Everybody knows all this.
Yeah.
You know it. Now the part about me being your coach is I'm going to insist upon it.
Hmm.
That's
Yeah.
so. That's my coaching, and my job as a coach is to sit here with my arms crossed like this and try not to be bored as you do it every day.
Yeah.
This, watching you turn the discus over and over is not exciting. I'll tell you that. It looks just like it looked the day before and the day before, but you get great by doing it. So I learned that from a good friend of mine, Rick Bojak, who I understand is not doing very well right now. He, I guess, got Parkinson's,
Hmm.
but God bless him. But he told me that. He goes, the key to being a good coach is you can't get bored. He pointed at me and said, you can't get bored.
Yeah.
It's a great, great moment in my coaching career. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, one of my biggest mistakes as a coach was when people came to me and asked me, okay, like, how can I, improve that or get leaner or, get bigger pump on my chest or whatever it is. Like, I always assumed that he's already doing the basics. Like, okay, like, since he's asking me, he know, I mean, because he usually people follow me on YouTube and tell me, I saw this and that video and read your books, and like I would always try to find like that complicated problem that he was or thing he wasn't doing. And like now after a couple of years, like I've realized that the first thing I should ask is like, are you doing like that, the most basic thing? Are you eating less calories than the
No, no.
calories you're burning?
Are you drinking water?
Yeah, even that, even like,
I mean,
yeah, yeah,
I don't even go that fancy. I mean,
exactly.
uh, gla- how many glasses of water a day do you drink? I don't know. Of course you don't, because you're not doing it.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, the nice thing about getting older is you're always thirsty, so it's easier to drink water all day long. So that's kind of nice. I'm always thirsty. I always have to pee, and I'm always thirsty. Okay, next one. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Um, so yeah, everything works, but only for so long. Another classic.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. Just sitting down not long ago, looking over some really good stuff we were doing that we stopped doing. And it's like, well, why did we stop doing this?
Mhm.
And then I realized I had to put myself back in the end of, uh, sorry about that noise. I had to put myself back at the end of that thing and go, yeah, it worked. And we were all beat up and felt terrible and weren't happy. We do the 10,000 swing challenge every so often. And when we do, at the end of the 20 days it takes to do it, no one wants to ever do a swing again. We
Mhm.
did this one thing where we tried to do high rep goblet squats. Somebody asked me if it would work. And so we attempted, it was hard. It was a miserable failure. But it would high rep goblet squats do X, Y, and Z. Well, basically, it just made our backs hurt, which was weird. But everybody who tried it would get cramps in their back at night. Well, it worked until it didn't. You put yourself, I did a 16-week program one time, and it was fantastic. And I did every single bit of it. But then the people go, why don't you do it again? It's like, man, the workouts were really hard. And I got really tired doing them. I mean, it was a lot of work. And yeah, I could repeat it, but not with I wouldn't have enthusiasm.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, not if you have 6 weeks, go train on machines for 6 weeks. You'll make good progress. 6 weeks in one day, you'll stop.
Hmm.
Anything you do, 6 weeks, everything, it does everything. I mean, you could do for body composition, you could do a yoga class, a 30-day yoga challenge, and it would be great for your body composition.
Hmm.
But you'll notice that after that, it doesn't do much at all.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so that's just, but it's called adaptation, or actually, the law of accommodation or the law of adaptation. I don't really know if there's a difference there, but your body figures this stuff out pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And your brain doesn't seem to want to help because your brain gets kind of bored and goes, oh, look, sorry about that noise.
No problem.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's like I think, and that's why it's important to also have different kinds of workouts during the year, like you say, bench workouts versus
Park, bench, bus bench.
yeah, yeah, thank you. And but also a typical mistake I see is that people want to change things too often. So like, I mean, you can change like little things in parameters and still get great results. Like maybe, switch a little bit the reps or change this or the volume, decrease the volume, increase the volume. So like you can still keep on doing the same things, but with little changes every now and then just to avoid that adaptation. But yeah, like it's so difficult because we live in this age where you have a million workout programs you can choose out
Yeah.
of online, and you don't even have to pay for like most of them.
Yeah.
So it's
Well,
it's easy to switch from one to the other and like never really get results, but you have to find that fine balance.
I just, somebody asked me about a power and size program. So I told them about Reg Park's program where you did 5 sets of 5 in 9 different exercises, 3 days a week,
Mm.
including deadlift, military, bench, rows, squats. And it's a real workout. And they looked at me like, oh my God, that's a lot of work. Oh, well, yeah. It's very hard to do. It's extremely hard to do. If you can, I don't know if I could finish one workout with a real load. It must have taken him years to build up to real load. But years. But most people aren't interested in that years part.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm not being negative. It's hard. It's hard. I mean, you know, when we have a child and we decide to teach them how to read our language, we give them years to develop it, and yet most people want their bodies to respond in days.
Yeah.
And man, I tell you, it takes a long time.
I like to call that the Arnold Fallacy, because like I talk about this in my first book. What I say is that Arnold came out with this book in the 70s, like one of his most popular books. I don't remember the title now.
Education of Bodybuilder.
Yeah, probably that one. So like what a lot of people did was, so he had the beginners programs, the intermediate.
They slid over to the 6th. Yeah.
Yeah, because they were like, yeah, if I do what Arnold is doing now, I'm gonna look like Arnold is looking now, like. And that probably didn't work out for most of them.
Arnold had a program called the Big Six, which actually has roots. I found the same workout in an Ironman before he was born. So, but it's the same. I mean, it's, you know, there's no surprises to it. It's squat, bench, pull up, sit up. I mean, it's, you know, it's you know the program. It's the basic 6, you know, basic moves we all would do. But Arnold, when he came up, spent lots of time doing the basics. But people forget, well, he also did a lot of other things too, but people forget that little part there. You know, he had that big background, you know. Most guys I know who slide onto basic bodybuilding, they go right from, they show up and they start training like a bodybuilder without any of the background. You know, it's funny because you can come in as an Olympic lifter and train like an Olympic lifter, except you're not going to be snatching 200 kilos the first week. In fact, you're not going to be snatching maybe 50 kilos the first week. It might take you a year to build up to 100 kilos, you know? And so for whatever reason, people understand that when it comes to weightlifting, track and field, and sports. But when it comes to bodybuilding, they have this vision that it's like, oh, I'll just do this. And it's like, man, you are years from that. Years.
Yeah. Good. A lot of people that watch me are also like in their 40s, 50s, or even 60s, because, you know, I do a lot of bodyweight exercise. So that was part 1 with my favorite strength coach out there, Dan John. Part 2 will be up on my YouTube channel again pretty soon, so make sure you subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet. Or you can also watch a raw version of part 2 right now on my website. You're gonna see a link popping above, so click on that if you can't wait for more. And until next time, keep on training.